Warm greetings to all our dear listeners. People often say that in this world, nothing can escape the laws of heaven and earth. Everything that happens in our lives is never truly random. A person's destiny does not depend on appearance or even on feng shui. It depends on karma, on cause and effect. We live in a world shaped by both the visible and the invisible. Only when you understand how the universe operates can you begin to take control of your own life. So, stay with us until the end of today's episode, because perhaps you'll find the answers to many questions that have been troubling your heart. Imagine this. One day, you're driving in a hurry to meet an important client. On the road, you notice an elderly couple whose car tire has burst. Because you're in a rush, you don't want to stop. Yet something inside you refuses to ignore them. In the end, you decide to pull over and help them change the tire. When you're done, they try to pay you, but you politely refuse and simply wish them luck. Then you continue on your way. When you arrive, you discover that your client is actually late. And not only that, they're in a great mood and quickly agree to sign the contract. At that moment, you might think you're just lucky. But in truth, this isn't luck, it's the law of the universe. There is one thing in this world that no one can avoid: the law of cause and effect. So what exactly is karma? In essence, it's the same as the law of causality in physics. The conditions you create are the causes, and the outcomes you experience are the effects. Just like solving an equation, all the data you input represents the cause, and the final result is the effect. In physics, there's the law of cause and effect. In life, we live by the same rule. Whatever you do, you will receive a corresponding result. Every choice you make becomes a cause that will shape your future. If you choose not to study or to attend university, the path ahead will be entirely different. A young person who hopes to find true love must also look at their own causes, their character, their efforts, even their circumstances. All these things together determine the effect, which is who they eventually meet and how that relationship will unfold. In short, human life is like a physics equation. The result we receive, our effect, always arises from the causes we've planted. There's an old saying: first comes destiny, second is luck, third is feng shui, fourth is virtue, fifth is learning, sixth is reputation, seventh is ancestry, eighth is reverence to the divine, ninth is connection with noble people, and 10th is the way we nourish life. A person's fate, in truth, is intertwined with countless people and events. Whether you encounter blessings, opportunities, or noble helpers in life, these things can never be forced. There's a story of two brothers who left their hometown for Hanoi to build a future. 10 years later, the older brother had bought a home and built a stable life there, while the younger brother had to return to his village with nothing. When we looked deeper, we found that the older brother often met kind people, mentors, partners, friends who helped him along the way. Meanwhile, the younger brother kept encountering people who took advantage of him. Was this luck? Or perhaps, was it destiny? A professor once said, "Whether or not you meet a noble person depends entirely on destiny." Destiny is like an invisible web. We cannot see it, yet it quietly guides our path. It leads us where we are meant to go. When others recognize and support you, that is your good karma. When they don't, that too is your fate. As the old saying goes, sow melons and you'll harvest melons. Sow beans and you'll harvest beans. If you wish to reap sweet fruit tomorrow, you must plant good seeds today. In this world, everything, the rising and falling of tides, the cycles of the moon, the joys and sorrows of human life, gain and loss, honor and disgrace, all have their causes and effects. As the Buddha once said, bodhisattvas look at causes, while ordinary beings look at results. This single sentence holds the profound truth of life itself. No matter how much we try to explain the logic of this world or how deeply we analyze human behavior, one truth always remains. Most people only care about immediate benefits. They rarely think about the long-term consequences. They focus on the results but ignore the causes. In contrast, the wise, those with true understanding, always pay close attention to the origin of things. They understand the law of cause and effect, and that's why they are cautious in every word and every action. Because they know, one careless step today can lead to bitter consequences tomorrow. Today, let's talk about one of the most important karmic lessons that everyone should remember. The first rule: The habit of complaining, blaming heaven and others can bring disaster into your life. In life, there are 8 great sufferings, each with its own form. Yet in reality, many people create more suffering for themselves simply by constantly complaining. They don't realize that this habit generates negative karma, which eventually brings more troubles into their lives. I once had a friend who worked as a chef. He opened his own restaurant, but he constantly complained that business was too hard. He would say, "There are too many restaurants on this street. Competition is tough. People don't go out to eat anymore. The weather's cold, so no one wants to leave the house." I still remember just a few months earlier, when he first opened, he said the exact opposite. "There are too few restaurants on this street. No one comes here to eat because there's nothing around." When there were few restaurants, he complained that business was bad. When there were many restaurants, he complained about competition. Eventually, after struggling for a short while, he had to close his shop. Later, he tried opening a few more, but none of them lasted long. The reason was simple: he never stopped complaining. The truth is, there are many small restaurants hidden deep in quiet alleys that are always full of customers. If you do your job well, people will travel far just to find you. When we start to complain about everything, when we live day by day in negativity, we gradually lose our faith in life. And when your heart is full of resentment, how can success ever come to you? The great Chinese thinker Zheng Guofan once wrote a profound line: "If you blame heaven without reason, heaven will send you more suffering. If you blame others without cause, others will lose their respect for you. For just a little misfortune, if you start cursing heaven and earth, you will only invite more pain. If you blame others for everything, you will only push people away." The habit of complaining is one of the greatest forms of foolishness. The wise never complain about their hardships, while the ignorant always cry out that life is unfair. But suffering, once it has happened, cannot be erased by complaints. You can only move forward by accepting and transforming it. If you study the life of Jack Ma, you'll see something remarkable. For the first 37 years of his life, he faced nothing but failure. But after 37, he suddenly rose to become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. His secret can be summed up in just 4 words. Never complain about anything. He once said, "When I was in my 20s and 30s, I used to complain a lot. I blamed my father for not having status. I blamed fate for not giving me a chance. I applied for over 30 jobs and was rejected by all. But I realized that complaining doesn't help. It doesn't change anything. So I stopped. And I focused on building my future instead." Bill Gates has 24 hours in a day. You have 24 hours in a day. Everyone has the same time, but not everyone uses it the same way. Success belongs to those who put their energy into creation, not to those who waste it on complaints. Because no life is free from struggle. But those who transform their suffering instead of resenting it, they are the ones who truly master their destiny. The road of life is full of hardship. But remember, once you overcome the struggle before you, a wide open path will unfold ahead. Always keep in mind, complaining to heaven and earth will only bring misfortune. The moment you feel a negative thought arising, pause, awaken your mind, and don't let it control you. Now, let's move to the second karmic principle. Knowing contentment is the secret to peace and happiness. Lao Tzu once said, "There is no greater disaster than not knowing contentment. There is no greater mistake than endless greed." In truth, the greatest misfortune in life is not knowing when to be satisfied. And the greatest mistake is the bottomless pit of desire. Only when we know what is enough can we truly find joy. There's an old fable about a poor farmer. He lived a humble life, growing crops just enough to feed his family. Even though life was simple, every day before eating or going to bed, he would light incense and pray hundreds of times, thanking the divine for all the blessings he had received. His wife couldn't understand. She asked, "We live such a modest life, just plain food every day. Why do you still thank the gods?" The farmer smiled and replied, "We live in peaceful times, not in war. Our family lives in harmony, and our health is stable. Isn't that already something to be grateful for?" An ancient text once said, "There is no greater joy than knowing contentment, and no greater suffering than constant complaining." Indeed, the greatest fortune in life is learning to be content with what you have. And the greatest pain is the endless desire for more. Those who know satisfaction are always joyful. Their minds are calm, their bodies healthy, to have peace in both body and soul. That is the truest happiness. When greed takes over the heart, desires multiply without end, and disaster soon follows. Throughout history, countless people have fallen into ruin because they never knew when to stop. During China's Qing dynasty, there was a man named Hessian, one of the most infamous corrupt officials in history. In the beginning, Hessian was intelligent, quick-witted, and highly trusted by Emperor Qianlong. The emperor even promised to marry his youngest daughter to Hessian's son, making him part of the royal family. But as Hessian's power grew, so did his greed. He used his position to manipulate the court and amass an enormous fortune. By the 4th year of Emperor Jiaqing's reign, the emperor finally stripped Hessian of his title and ordered him imprisoned. When they investigated his property, the wealth he had accumulated, silver, antiques, jewels, was greater than the total income of the Qing government. Over the previous 15 years, just 15 days after Emperor Qianlong's death, Hessian was executed at the age of 49. He became the most notorious symbol of greed in Chinese history, a man condemned for eternity. Greed is the root of all disaster. Human desire for material things knows no limit. As the ancients said, the heart that never knows contentment will forever be haunted by sorrow and misfortune. If you do not know when to stop, even if you build a house that touches the clouds, you will still feel empty inside. Those who live without restraint, always wanting more, will only invite endless trouble and suffering. So remember, to be content, to live peacefully with what you already have. That is true happiness. Now, let's move on to the third karmic principle. You reap what you sow. In Buddhism, there is a simple truth. Sow melons and you will harvest melons. Sow beans and you will harvest beans. Where there is a cause, there must be an effect. And where there is an effect, there must be a cause. Karma is like an echo in a valley. If you shout, "I love you," the valley will echo back, "I love you too." It will never shout back, "I hate you." In the same way, if you wish to receive good outcomes, you must first plant good seeds. A kind person will always meet good fortune in return. Long ago, there was a king who suffered from a strange illness. His entire body was covered with red spots, and he constantly felt itchy and in pain. The royal physicians tried every precious herb and medicine, but nothing worked. Angry and frustrated, the king refused to take any more medicine. One day, while traveling outside the palace, he met a young healer. The healer prescribed a simple remedy: to soak rhubarb root in water for 5 days. The king was doubtful. How could this simple herb work, he thought, when all the famous royal doctors have already failed? There was once a powerful man who suffered from a strange illness. He visited countless doctors, but none could cure him. One day, he came across a humble healer in a small town. The healer gave him a very simple remedy, so simple that the man couldn't help but doubt it. Sensing his hesitation, the healer gently smiled and said, "Take it home and try it. If it doesn't work, I won't take a single coin from you." Surprisingly, after just a few uses, the illness completely vanished. Filled with gratitude, the man returned to the healer's shop to express his thanks and offered him a generous reward. But the healer firmly refused, saying, "I can see that you are a man of noble character. I only wish to make your acquaintance, not your money." The man laughed heartily and said, "With your extraordinary skill, I can recommend you to the royal palace. You'll live in wealth and honor, no longer needing to stay in this small shop or live a humble life." But the healer bowed deeply and replied, "Your Majesty, a true physician heals for the sake of the people, to bring health and peace to the world. If I become a royal doctor, I will no longer be able to help the common folk. That is not my wish. All I desire is to build a medical center that can serve everyone." Hearing these words, the king was deeply moved. He helped the healer establish a medical institution, which flourished and passed down through his descendants, a legacy that continues to thrive even today. This story reminds us, do good and never worry about the future. As long as we live with kindness and sincerity in the present moment, blessings will come naturally. There's no need to chase after them. Always keep a pure and compassionate heart, for even a single kind thought can bring countless blessings. Only those who cultivate true virtue will reap good fortune in return. The fourth lesson: Blessing and misfortune have no fixed doors. They are created by our own actions. In the Tao Te Ching, there is a well-known verse. Misfortune is what fortune depends upon. Fortune is what misfortune hides within. It teaches that when one is surrounded by blessings, they should not become too proud, for danger may already be quietly forming inside. And when one faces hardship, they should not lose hope, for opportunity may be waiting just around the corner. Lao Tzu reminds us that fortune and misfortune are often intertwined, hard to separate or predict. When standing before two doors, we cannot always tell which leads to blessing and which to disaster. Take the wrong step into misfortune, and even if you want to turn back, it may be too late. While the door to fortune, standing right beside you, remains untouched. It's like the saying goes, heaven has a path, yet people refuse to walk it. Hell has no gate, yet people rush into it. In truth, much of our suffering is self-created. Human beings must learn to reflect deeply. We invent things hoping to make life easier, but in the end, many inventions become the very source of our troubles. Before money existed, no one was obsessed with getting rich. Without money, there was no concept of making money. Money was a brilliant invention. It made trade and business convenient. Yet soon after, people became slaves to it. The mobile phone, for example, was created to help us communicate easily. But today, many children are addicted to their phones, unable to spend even a moment without them. They can't walk outside without checking their screens, as if life itself depended on that small device. And it doesn't stop there. We've become slaves to tall buildings, to cars, to everything we ourselves have invented. But tell me, can that still be called living? Whenever something new is born, it always carries within it the seed of its opposite. When you first bring home fresh fruit, it is sweet, fragrant, and full of life. But within just a few days, decay begins to grow silently inside. That is the law of nature, and the wisdom of balance. A few days after you bring home fresh fruit, it begins to rot from within. That's because bacteria already exist inside, simply waiting for the right moment to break it down. The changes that come from outside are often beyond our control, yet their impact on us can be immense. Instead of constantly worrying or resisting, why not simply follow the rhythm of nature? Do your best, and let the rest unfold according to destiny. In the Tao Te Ching, it is written, when one aligns with the Tao gladly supports them. When one aligns with virtue, virtue gladly completes them. But when one loses harmony with the Tao and virtue, loss will naturally follow. Life is like a magnetic field. Whatever you are, you attract the same energy. Fragrant flowers attract butterflies and bees, while filth attracts flies. The ancients used to say, things gather with their kind, and people group by nature. If you wish to know a person's character, just look at the company they keep. Those surrounded by drinking companions often live by worldly desires, calculating, indulgent, and opportunistic. In contrast, those who keep only a few true friends tend to be calm, steadfast, and sincere, living with clarity and integrity. This is the mysterious power of attraction. Who you are determines who you meet, and who you meet shapes who you become. Just as sound waves of the same frequency resonate, people with similar hearts naturally understand each other. Those who are honest and kind will attract others who are positive and full of light. But those who indulge in pleasure and laziness will only draw in companions of the same nature. You are what you focus on, and that focus decides what you draw into your life. Nothing in this world happens by accident. Every meeting, every event, is bound by a deep and invisible thread of cause and effect. That is why cultivating inner virtue is so important. When your thoughts are positive and elevated, you will draw good fortune closer to you. But if you feed dark and negative emotions, you will only attract suffering and chaos. To take responsibility for your destiny, you must first learn to govern yourself wisely, to become a source of light that draws light in return. A kind person naturally receives help from others, and when disaster comes, even heaven will protect them. If talent is heaven's gift to us, then choosing to live with kindness is the gift we give back to heaven. As the philosopher Mencius once said, the greatest virtue of a noble person is to treat others with goodness. No one's life sails smoothly forever. No one can live without ever needing others. When you see someone struggling, if you extend your hand to help, that goodness will someday return to you, perhaps when you need it most. Long ago, there was a royal physician. He was not only skilled in medicine, but also renowned for his loyalty and compassion. One day, as he returned from the palace, after treating a royal concubine, he saw an old man collapsed by the roadside. Despite the warnings of his attendants, his heart of compassion moved him to stop. He treated the old man and gave him medicine. Years later, the physician was falsely accused of treason and sentenced to death. But before the execution, someone rescued him from prison. That savior was none other than the son of the old man he had once healed. Indeed, heaven has no favorites, but it always stands with those who are kind. The universe may not distinguish between rich or poor, noble or humble, but it always rewards the hearts that radiate goodness. No act of kindness ever disappears. It simply waits for the right moment to return, often when we least expect it. Remember this: no act of kindness is ever wasted. Every good thought, every pure intention, creates blessings that will one day return to you. When you treat others with warmth and sincerity, you become a source of light, a gentle flame that not only warms others, but also illuminates your own path. When your heart is open, the road ahead becomes wide and bright. A kind heart brings good fortune, while a narrow heart invites suffering. If you can learn to let go, life will always feel like spring. If your heart is as vast as the ocean, your days will be calm and your soul at peace. There was once a scholar official who passed the imperial examination and was soon appointed to a high government position. Many people envied him and spoke ill of him behind his back. One day, as he entered the hall, a man hidden behind a curtain pointed at him and said to another, "How can someone with so little experience hold such a high post?" The official heard everything, yet acted as if he hadn't. He simply walked past the curtain and continued on. His attendant, angry on his behalf, wanted to find out who had insulted him. But the official stopped him, saying, "If I knew who it was, my heart would never be free of this resentment. What good would that do? Besides, his words caused me no real harm." When this story spread, everyone admired his tolerance and humility. It was precisely because of this broad-mindedness that he later helped the emperor stabilize the nation and became one of the most respected ministers of his time. Life is short. The more we cling and compare, the less joy we have. Why waste time on resentment? There is a saying, when the heart widens an inch, the road expands a yard. Those who are narrow-minded find life suffocating, while those with open hearts walk a freer, brighter path. A peaceful heart brings clarity. A calm heart brings health. A generous heart brings fortune. At first glance, it may seem that our destiny is fixed, but in truth, it is shaped by our every action, our every choice, and the people we attract through the energy we carry. Luck and misfortune are not random. They are the echoes of kindness and compassion, or the lack of them. A person with a kind heart helps others in hardship, protects those in danger, and always considers others before themselves. Even when they suffer losses, they do not take what is not theirs. They act with sincerity, without deceit or hidden motives. People like this are trusted wherever they go. They naturally receive help, and blessings follow them like a shadow that never leaves. A generous person is open and tolerant. They don't argue over small things, or hold on to grudges. Because of their calm and forgiving nature, others are drawn to them, trusting them, admiring them, and wishing to walk beside them. And so, their fate grows brighter, their relationships deepen, and noble people, their benefactors, seem to appear from nowhere. In truth, there is no such thing as luck without reason, and no success that happens by chance. Everything is the result of your own thoughts and actions. No matter how life treats you, please keep your heart kind. Because when kindness remains, miracles will follow. I wish you a life of peace and serenity, a life filled with joy, blessings, and light. Thank you for staying with us until the end. If today's message has touched your heart, please tap the like button to support our work. And before you go, leave a comment with the phrase, "Sow good seeds and reap good fruit." May your life be filled with abundance, peace, and countless blessings. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button on the right to stay connected with us. Wherever you are in the world, May we walk this path together, cultivating virtue, spreading compassion, and sharing boundless goodness.